had never heard of Guillain-Barré syndrome at all. And when the neurologist said that we think this is GBS, and they said, he's not going back to school, then that was just really, just an emotion came over because, you know, what's the time frame?
I remember learning about it in school, but I could not have told you anything about it prior to Austin being diagnosed. So it was one of those things that, I mean, it was just basically a huge shock for everybody.
The prior night, I was struggling to walk, get upstairs, I would fall down. I would have teammates come pick me up from, you know, the ground or wherever I was at. And kind of the crazy part was that my teachers were starting to notice that everything was kind of wrong. They were like, hey, you're acting a different way. You're not exactly being yourself in class. And when she picked me up, you know, she was just like, hey, Austin, like, you know, you okay? Is everything fine? And I was like, Mom, like, I can't walk normal. I can't really move the same.
Ultimately, when I came to pick him up, I saw how bad it was, to be honest with you. And bringing him home, I had called Todd and said, I don't even think I'm gonna make it back to Atlanta.
You know, I've always considered myself being kind of special, but I didn't, you know, really consider myself being too special like that. But I've never really heard of it. It was just a pretty crazy event to know that just my body could basically, you know, turn and react a certain way to something happening inside.
You hear these words, medical terms. You don't really know how bad or how big of a deal it is until you start to hear what it's about. Could have lost his life. Will he ever come back? You know, these type things. And when you start to hear those things, then everybody start getting concerned.
Sorry to get emotional. And he's so focused on being a team player and excelling in athletics and, you know, being a leader on and off the field. And you can see that a piece of that is being taken from him. It's really hard. And as his mom and as his parents, we wanted to be there for him.
Austin Blake was admitted to the Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia during March of 2020, recovering from a rare neurological disorder called GBS, where the immune system mistakenly attacks part of the body's peripheral nervous system, affecting only 1 out of every 100,000 people per year.
He was real determined. He was always positive when he talked to me, how he was going to get back, how he was ready to play. It was never negative from him. He was always looking at the positive side of it.
Social media, I mean, being able to have FaceTime and for his, you know, linemen and teammates to be interfacing with him. He had his computer, he joined team meetings from the hospital, for goodness sakes, wanting to be a part of that conversation.
I mean, honestly, with COVID, it was honestly me, my nurses, techs, and doctors. It was just them. Like, they turned into my sounding boards, they turned into my best friends.
Because when he came home from the Shepherd Center, he was still using a wheelchair, but he had a walker that he was trying to move towards, but he was pretty much using a wheelchair, a mobility device.
Being a human being, just being able to wake up and walk is something that I think we all kind of take for granted. Being able to honestly move our arms, move our legs, feel certain heats, textures, taste things. You know, because at one point all those things went away from me, and I had to sit there and like relearn how to hold a pencil, relearn how to, you know, write, relearn how to, you know, move my ankle, and relearn how to squat and do all these different things.
Well, he faced it like he would any kind of training regimen. You know, it started out with bed exercises, and then it moved to chair exercises, and then he was doing floor exercises, and then he was able to go to an outpatient facility after that once he came home. And to be honest with you, I think it was that athlete's mentality that really helped him, because you never see an end, you know, where he might be thinking about, I'll do my exercises, or prescribed to do his exercises once a day. He's doing it 2 and 3 times a day.
Living out of his grandparents' basement in Georgia, Austin spent that summer rehabbing and relearning basic motor functions until more adversity came his way.
You know, I was having like blurry vision. When I was in the Shepherd Center, stuff would go black out for a couple seconds, come back. And we went to go visit a neuro-ophthalmologist, and, you know, they checked how big the nerve was swollen. And he was like, on a scale of 1 to 5, this is a 5. Like, this is really bad. So
Those videos that he posted and then I saw, I mean, it was really, really difficult, because you don't want to see anybody go through that, but especially one of your people. I mean, he's one of my guys. He's one of my athletes. I'd known him for a while, and to see him struggle like that and not realize prior to seeing those videos the actual extent of what was going on with him, because his family was usually really upbeat about it and really positive about it, which was great. But I think sometimes it kind of shaded a little bit about what was truly going on, because they said, yeah, he's learning how to walk again. But I didn't really know exactly what that meant until I saw the video, and I was like, oh, he is legitimately learning how to walk again.
Because I'm sitting here like, I already beat it one time, like why is it happening again? Like this only is like a one-time deal. Like this isn't, supposed to be two. I'm young, I'm still 20 at this point. I'm still super young. And I'm just sitting here like, what the heck is going on?
Austin managed months living isolated from the rest of the world by utilizing his innate sense of humor, developing a close-knit family.
One day for writing, my OT was like, hey, we're gonna write down some jokes. And I was like, hey, let me go to, like, we had like this intercom to where they'd be like, hey, it's lunchtime or it's dinner time. And I went and I told a joke to like the whole floor.
What did the snail say when he was riding the turtle's back?
Austin, again, has a sense of humor that's coupled with a high drive, which makes him quite a personality at times. I mean, he's our physical comedian. He keeps us in stitches when he's home, and, he's just amazing to be around. He has an energy and a light that I think draws other people.
It was pretty easy, just given that we had both played football, and that kind of just led into a little bit more of a casual conversation. A lot of times whenever he comes into clinic, it's not pins and needles what we're going to do. And now I'm kind of on the back end of it, where we've got his disease process under better control, and he's getting back into the swing of things. So it's really just keeping that standard there and trying to build off of it.
Because we know it's not going to go as fast as you want it to go. And then maybe you have some setbacks, you got to be able to deal with that. And that's where I asked him, mentally, are you willing to go through all that? He said, Coach, with what I've went through to even get to this point, I'm mentally prepared to go the rest of the way.
Austin saw his teammates for the very first time during the 2020 season opener at Georgia Southern, in what he calls a game-changing moment to strive for the second goal in his recovery, returning to campus for the spring semester.
We just walked the campus together, pointing out things and places that, we'd been or he had experienced, and it was just kind of allowing all of us to reacquaint ourselves, but, to be able to know that he was going to be able to be a part of the university again, meeting one of his goals, was huge, and he was so ready. So it was really exciting, I think, not just for him, but for all of us.
You had a lot going on when he came back, and so I think everybody was just, I think in awe and shock. He's back, right? Like, he's really going to go play football again. I think that's really what you saw.
If Austin can go through this, I can definitely handle anything that I'm going through, and they were just telling me how I was just such a huge light for them. And then just seeing me back, seeing my smile, seeing just my enthusiasm, just to be back at Campbell for school, but be back for football, they were just super thrilled to be able to have me and just, be a part of this journey that we're going on this season.
It wasn't really a question. We knew he'd come back. We knew it was just about how long. So to see him do it that quickly is really, truly amazing.
We had a lot of conversations, okay, where are we gonna start? And so initially he started doing workouts with me. And so he was still around the team, but he was doing, bike and that kind of thing. And then we started progressing, and he progressed really, really well. He didn't have really any setbacks, and we got to the point where like, okay, let's get him back in the weight room.
He's going through a rough spot, but you're like, is he gonna have, some degree of normalcy for life? So when he gets back on campus, we're talking about just trying to get him back to the point where he's, he had done really well with rehab, but then making him further being a functional adult.
But I was very, very cognizant of where he was, what he was doing, how much he was doing, was he feeling anything? I probably bugged him 47 times a day. Are you feeling anything? Or do you have any problems? Are you okay? And he'd be like, yes, I'm fine, And anytime, I told him, like, I need you to be honest. If you feel something, tell me immediately. I'm not gonna panic. I just need to know so that we know how to help you.
If I'm trying to test his strength in his arms and legs, well, he's a big, burly lineman. And so when he's telling me he's weak, but I'm not able to really see that on exam, that makes it a little bit more difficult to, try to assess. So you're really trusting your patient in that sense and how well they know their body and what it can and can't do. And
just like anybody else, I think he's built himself back and he feels very confident in where he is. And then his body's coming back still. He lost a ton of weight early on, so it's gradually putting good weight back on, building his strength back. But at this point in time, it's like taking, anybody else that's just building their body gradually, as opposed to somebody that's coming off of, life-altering sickness and then having to build himself back.
During spring practice, Austin was an active observer and a mentor for his teammates. As he continued to put on healthy weight and regain his strength, the opportunity to obtain his final goal began to blossom.
But when he started working out with the team, after 4 or 5 months, and then now he's running with the team, that's when I started smiling, okay? Our last workout before the summer break, he's out there doing a whole circuit with his team, and he was giving all he had, and I was like, man, you can't buy that,
I think super proud of what he's put in from a work ethic standpoint and how driven he is. I can't really express to you how I think it's awesome, cool, that parental instinct, I guess, a little bit, that you just really appreciate what he's put in and that he's so driven to be back here.
I still worry about him. I still watch him probably more than I watch everybody else. I'm not sure if he knows that, so that'll be a surprise when he sees this. But at the same time, he's doing everything. You wouldn't know by watching him on the field that he was any different than anybody else, that he has anything else to worry about. What he's been through this last year, you'd have no idea, because he looks like one of the team.
You got Austin as a patient. You're doing that history and kind of following the trail there of everything and how he's gotten to that point. It's just an amazing story as far as where he was then to where he is now. I'm very proud of where he's come to, and that we're able to continue his treatment here. And he's able to, they're in Georgia, right? I mean, he was having to be back there with his parents and not knowing if he would be able to come back and do any of this.
Whether he plays a minute, in the future, I mean, he wants to be a part of making an impact. He wants to be a role model. He wants to be a great teammate. He wants to be somebody his coaches know that he can count on. But to me, that's just Austin. I mean, that's who Austin is.
Knowing that wasn't guaranteed. And I really think that's just a really cool thing that he's been able to push back and build back his body to be able to do this, and that he's been able to persevere through this, because there's quite a few people, even from the medical side, saying that I don't know that this is necessarily the smartest decision. They never said it wasn't physically able to happen. It was just they made him aware of all the risk, and a normal person might be like, there's a lot of risk, I don't know if it's worth going for it, and he was like, I'm going to go for it.
Austin strapped up for fall practice and officially joined the travel roster on the offensive line. Come October 30th, Austin checked another box in his recovery, earning his first official snap in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was probably one of the greatest moments, honestly. It kind of shows all the long hours of therapy, all the hours working out, and just all the times the days were good and bad, just being able to be out there with all my teammates and just being able to go back to work, honestly. Just being out there with them, was definitely everything that I've been looking forward to. Because of course, during the COVID season, I would text them about how the season's going, watch a little film to see how they're doing. But it was definitely just a great moment to be back out there and actually, play ball again.
We don't no longer to say maybe, hopefully. No, he's gonna make it happen, and he's gonna be a story for a lot of people, because there's a lot of people go through this stuff, and now they have somebody they can look up to, that have battled it and came back and lived a productive life, man. At the things that he wanted to do, and what he wants to do is play football. So, it's going to be fun to see.
not everybody would have been able to do that. Some people probably would have given up, and he definitely did not. He's kept working, and never heard him complain at all, ever. In fact, honestly, he'd probably prefer no one talk about what's going on with him and the fact that he had to deal with this. You know, he's just one of those kids that he's going to do whatever he has to. So, you know, for me to see him back out there, it's huge. You know, with some injuries, I know that we play a part. This one, honestly, I didn't. I was just kind of here, and if he needed me, I would help. But this is all him.
Yeah, I think he has, and his story's it's not done yet. He has a lot to tell. He has a lot of good things that are going to happen for him, whether it's on the football field or off the football field. So this is just a chapter. It's a long chapter, but I think you know, he'll write the ending, and it's going to be amazing.